energy, okay? Look how much he got done this weekend. He held a rally, he started a crypto company you definitely should put all your money into, and he got in 9 holes of golf. Well, 5 holes. There was a bit of an interruption.
Tonight, the chilling new details of the apparent second assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Yo, again? Hey, will you people stop trying to assassinate Donald Trump? Not only is it morally wrong, but you're also just giving him more things to brag about. They only tried to kill Abraham Lincoln once. That makes me twice as great as him.
Let's start with Donald Trump. According to polls, he's deeply unpopular with women. Maybe it's because of his legally adjudicated record of sexual assault. Maybe he forgot their birthdays. It's hard to say. But the fact is, he needs to win them back, and he knows it. So last night, he turned on the old Trump charm.
Sadly, women are poorer than they were 4 years ago, much poorer, are less healthy than they were 4 years ago, are less safe on the streets than they were 4 years ago, are more stressed and depressed and unhappy.
Ooh! Excuse me, you really know how to flatter a lady. Please tell me more about the bags under my eyes. I love how he's acknowledging that we're stressed out as though he's not the one stressing us out. This is like Boeing being like, weird how people seem so freaked out about air travel these days. Originally, there was another debate scheduled for tonight. And The Daily Show would be broadcasting live, but there was no debate, and we are not live. In fact, if you're watching this right now, I'm already at home in bed, watching videos about how bad it is to look at your phone in bed. And now it's looking more and more likely that the first Trump-Harris debate was also the last. Because while Kamala keeps saying she's down for a rematch, Trump wants no part of it.
The problem with another debate is that it's just too late. Voting has already started. It's too late to do another. I'd love to in many ways, but it's too late. The voting is cast.
I'm sorry, it's too late. I'd love to have my ass handed to me for another 2 hours, but there's just no time. There's no time. There's no time. I can't.
After all that preparation, the debate finally began at 9 o'clock. And right off the bat, there was a big difference between these guys and Trump's debate with Kamala, or Trump's debate with anyone. These guys seem to actually get along.
You're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer. A lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do, and some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good.
So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this.
Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this.
I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this.
I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem.
I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said.
I actually agree with Tim Walz.
Wow. Maybe you two should run together. Yeah. Maybe a date? It seems like you have a lot in common. Hello, CBS. We're going to share an Uber home.
That I did not see coming. And that surprise is this. Elon Musk has ups.
His rocket company is the only reason we can now send American astronauts into space. Come here. Take over, Elon. Yes, take over.
Hey! He's acting like a guy who won a radio contest. No! I can't believe I get to bid on the washer dryer!
Now, Kamala's Lion's Den was Fox News, so I guess it was a Fox Den where she sat down with Brett Baer, so maybe it was a Bear's Den. Anyway, it doesn't matter what animal it was. The point is, it was very tense.
The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the...
Yes, ma'am. May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
There were no concerns raised.
Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
but
Donald Trump
But you
is,
talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After
is.
George Clooney said within a
if
few
you
minutes of
watch
talking to President
Donald
Biden at a
Trump-
fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate
Donald
stage.
Trump is on the ballot.
I understand, Madam
How
Vice
Donald
President.
Trump has
all of this money
has treated
that
and
has
talked
gone
about
in the
America's
past few
military
years.
and military service people,
Critics
calling
say
them
that it goes to
suckers and
Hezbollah,
losers,
Hamas,
has diminished
and
the
Houthis. We're
significance.
talking over each other. I apologize.
Sorry, can we get that mute button from the debate so she can complete a sentence? Come on, Brett. You invited her on to speak with you. This is an interview with the vice president, not sex with your wife. You have to let the woman finish. So that was Kamala's experience in the Lion's Den, an interview with a news network that openly serves as the propaganda arm of her opponent. But Trump also faced down his biggest fear: Hispanic people. He attended a Univision town hall where one man asked him about January 6th. And if I'm reading that man's facial expression correctly, he was not impressed.
You know, what happened during January 6th and the fact that, you know, you waited so long to take action while your supporters were attacking the Capitol.
These are people that walked down. This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which nobody sees and nobody shows. But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the million.
You when you've obviously been lying to him.
It's just 2 weeks until the election, and I'm going to say this. I don't like it. We officially entered into the fever dream portion of the campaign. Right is left, up is down. The Republican nominee is hanging out in a Bronx barbershop, and the Democratic nominee is hosting some sort of book club with Liz Cheney. What the f***? That's a Cheney. What are you doing with a Cheney? You're not allowed to hang out with a Cheney. They're Marvel. You're DC. You can't be in the same movie. It's a rights issue. And no one likes them. It is so surreal. This campaign cannot get any weirder.
Hello, everybody. Sir. My first day at McDonald's. I'm looking for a job. So, if you don't mind, I want to work the French fry counter.
Give him the job. I implore you. I don't care if his references don't shake out. Save democracy, give him the job. Now, Kamala Harris is out there sweating the details over her new opportunity economy. Trump's just out there farting around.
I love salt. Wait a minute, I spilled some. I'm very superstitious. You take it for granted. You say, give me French fries. I'll never forget this experience. I always think it's somebody stuffs them in with their hand, and I don't like that. And they don't do it that way. You never touch them. It's really great.
You Forrest Gump? What are we doing over here? This was actually one of his milder genital rants. This was kind of his Kids Bob genitals rant. Classy, body positive. He was complimenting somebody else. I don't know why we have to parse everything that this guy says so sternly.
We have two enemies. We have the outside enemy, and then we have the enemy from within. And the enemy from within, in my opinion, is more dangerous than China, Russia, and all these countries.
Hey, who wants fries? Arnold Palmer's.
We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
You're not fun at all. That's not fun-loving and mischievous. That sounded quite threatening. That's actually worthy of some real examination. And all the Republicans who have talked about having fun at Trump's rallies, I'm sure they'd express concerns about this type of rhetoric.
What I want to just make very clear is that it's my belief that what former President Trump is talking about are the people that are coming over the border that in fact are committing crimes, that are bringing drugs, that are trafficking humans. That is what I believe the president is referring to. I don't think that he's referring to elected people in America.
Oh, all right, good, because because I was worried. Because it did sound bad the way that he had said it. I probably wasn't thinking clearly, you know, but just to make sure that that is what he meant, let's give the former president himself a chance to clear up that he's really talking about drug and human traffickers coming across the border and obviously not elected officials.
Adam Shifty Schiff, who's a total sleazebag, is going to become a senator. But I call him the enemy from within.
But just Shifty Schiff, right?
And it is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's, these people, they're so sick and they're so evil.
Are you out of your f***ing mind?
In the home stretch of the 2024 campaign, Donald Trump has gained a critical new supporter, Elon Musk, a man of gravitas, a man of dignity, a man with roughly a 4-inch vertical leap, and president of the Funny Tummy Club. But he's also the richest man in the world. He's so rich, he bought Twitter just to drive it into the ground for his own personal pleasure. And now he's thinking, well, what if I did the same with America?
Tech mogul Elon Musk making a surprise pledge while stumping for Trump, launching a $1 million giveaway for voters who signed his petition in favor of free speech and the right to bear arms.
Wow. Elon's giving $1 million to his fans. Now they can afford the best anime girlfriend pillow money can buy. So how exactly does this gift work?
So every day between now and the election, we'll be awarding $1 million. Starting tonight. Tonight's person is John Dreyer.
Maybe less exciting once you realize that they filled in the money section with John Dreyer. What exactly do you have to do for that $1 million?
The only thing we ask for the $1 million is that you be a spokesperson for the petition, and that's it, really. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Bye. But the biggest attack against Trump at the moment isn't coming from Obama on the wall. It's coming from one of the top people in Trump's own White House.
This morning, Donald Trump's former chief of staff and retired General John Kelly with a blistering rebuke of the Republican nominee for president, calling him a fascist with no concept for the rule of law or the Constitution.
What do you think? Do you think he's a fascist?
He certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
Wow. Donald Trump's old chief of staff is calling him a fascist. That is huge. Although I will say, telling America you're about to elect a fascist is a pretty major thing to announce in an audio clip, you know? You couldn't put on pants and say it into a camera. Let me back up here for a second. That word fascism gets thrown around a lot, and it's one of those words you hear frequently, but you don't actually know what it means, like emoluments or demure. So let me give you a definition. Fascism is a nationalist political movement that builds a cult around an all-powerful leader who vows to protect his loyal subjects from racially inferior others and the enemy within. Now that you know that, upon hearing John Kelly calling Trump a fascist, you're probably thinking, yeah, duh. And by the way, Kelly isn't even the only general who served with Trump who feels this way. General Milley, Trump's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, also said Trump is a fascist to the core. General Mattis, General McMaster, both Trump cabinet officials have said Trump violated the Constitution. And keep in mind, these guys were the adults in the room in the first Trump administration keeping Trump from going full dictator. And they're not going to be there the second time around. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not ready to put the future of American democracy in the hands of Secretary of Defense
once this
pillow
election,
guy.
if he wins this election,
But anyway,
it's
because
fucking
it's the last
over.
week, both
Country's
candidates
done. So
have been out there on the trail making
hope people
their
really
closing
enjoyed their
arguments. First, Kamala
trolling.
Harris had a rally with Beyonce. I cannot wait to hear.
Country's done. So everybody thought it was really funny to support Donald Trump because he's such a troll. And now they're gonna fucking learn how funny it is. Because he's gonna fucking cause the end of the world. So, cool. Good job, guys. You're all fucking idiots.
Just a heartfelt statement
You
of
always
the
were.
importance of the election.
Fucking tried to warn you people so many times about this
I'm
kind of
voting for
shit.
Trump. That's just.
You know, everybody's just like,
Well, you
oh,
know, as luck would have it, Donald Trump was holding a rally of his own. Right
fascism's funny. Burning people in ovens, that's funny. That's what these people fucking think.
Bruce. I bet Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden is going to be incredibly entertaining and uplifting as the Trump campaign enters its optimistic morning in America phase with its lineup of stars.
The illegals, they get whatever they want, don't they? They're on the side of the terrorists. She is the devil, whoever screamed that out. Her and her pimp handlers will destroy our country. She is the Antichrist, the first Samoan Malaysian.
Milestone reached. Train signals placed on train rails can control and improve train behavior. This helps to avoid events where multiple trains attempt to occupy the same physical location. For information related to earlier train events, please refer to your employee non-disclosure agreement.
I will never not be charmed by his girlish laugh. Now, generally, that's a lineup that you see outside Madison Square Garden, yelling at strangers as they try to get inside Madison Square Garden. And let me just say, how dare they desecrate the stage that the Piano Man has consecrated? How dare you? How dare you? Listen to me. You know how many scenes from an Italian restaurant he's going to have to play to exorcise the demons that were on that stage? There is not enough Downeaster Alexas in the world to clear out that xenophobic stench, you pieces of... 9 months till the election, people!
I wish it was still 9 months.
And the exciting part is, we already know our candidates. It's, drum roll please, these guys. That's why tonight we're debuting our election coverage in December 2024 American Democracy. See, it's a homophone. We didn't change the sound of the word, but we added a K, which makes it wittier. How about Indecision 2024? Election on the top. We changed the one letter. Are you disappointed yet?
Now, for once, the big news in the GOP primary is not about Donald Trump. It's about Nikki Haley and what Donald Trump said about her.
Former President Trump taking heat for questioning why Nikki Haley's husband has not been with her on the campaign trail.
Where's her husband? Oh, he's away. He's away. What happened to her husband? What happened to her husband? Where is he? He's gone.
Your husband, Michael, is a major with the South Carolina Army National Guard, currently deployed in the Horn of Africa.
It's disgusting. And let's take it and move me and Michael out of it. If you're going to go and criticize a combat veteran, you criticize one veteran, you're criticizing all of them.
Wow. Now, that is the spine of a leader. Someone who will stand up for our troops when Donald Trump attacks them. I mean, not John McCain or the Gold Star family. She worked for Trump after that. But if you go after a troop that Nikki Haley is married to, that is where she draws a very specific line.
Let's kick things off with Nikki Haley. She made a big announcement today, but it wasn't the one we were all expecting.
Some of you, perhaps a few of you in the media, came here today
to see if I'm dropping out of the race. Well, I'm not.
Okay, we'll just wait another week then. Do what you want, but it's not a good sign for your campaign if you have to keep announcing that you're not dropping out of the race. Now, if you think hawking perfume is undignified for the front runner for president, excuse me, don't worry, it's not just perfume.
Donald Trump introducing a new sneaker line at a shoe conference in Philly over the weekend.
This is a big crowd.
Appearing at SneakerCon in Philadelphia.
We're going to remember the young people, and we're going to remember SneakerCon. You're sneakerheads, right?
The former president took today to promote a money-making deal, having struck a naming rights agreement for a limited edition sneaker line. The most expensive pair in the series, selling for $399.
That's the real deal. That's the real deal.
Finally, a sneaker that won't make me feel bad when I accidentally step in shit.
Yesterday, my home state of Michigan held primary elections, but the big story was who Democrats didn't vote for.
This morning, President Biden and former President Trump coming off huge wins in Michigan. But it's these voters who shook up the Democratic primary.
If he doesn't get it together and change what he's doing, we will not vote for him in November.
Overnight, an extremely unusual watch party for voters who cast their ballots not for a candidate, but for uncommitted in protest of President Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas war. The effort's organizers had set their goal at 10,000 votes. They got more than 10 times that.
Wow, 100,000 people went outside in Michigan in February to say they don't like you. That is a lot of commitment to uncommitment. Reminds me of my single years. Ow, ow. Anyways, it's horrible what's happening in the Middle East. And ceasefire supporters are sending Joe Biden a strong message that if he doesn't push for an end to the war, they won't vote for him. And I'm glad they're making their voices heard. This is how you get attention of politicians. You threaten to kick them out of office if they don't listen to you. Of course, in this particular situation, the guy who would take his place is Trump. Not only is he not sympathetic to your cause, he said he's going to add Gazans to the Muslim ban. It's like convincing your sister to break up with that guy who's no good for her, and then next Christmas she shows up with Pennywise. You know, he's got kids in the sewer. That's a red flag, sis. Let's talk about a major update in the ongoing battle between Donald Trump and karma. He's on trial. He's on trial right now for trying to overthrow the government, a pretty big faux pas. But recently, his lawyers threw out a Hail Mary legal claim that says he's immune from being charged for anything he did while president. And now his buddies on the Supreme Court are saying, yeah, maybe.
This morning, the U.S. Supreme Court handing Donald Trump
country's gone
the gift
fucking
of
insane.
time. The justices agreed
Fucking
to decide whether the
insane.
Republican
People are just
frontrunner
handing
should be
away the
immune
country.
from
They're
federal
just like,
charges
yep,
because
fuck
his
it.
attempts to reverse the 2020
Fascism's
election
better.
happened
We
while
should have
he was
just
still in office.
submitted to the Nazis
We will never concede.
in the war.
Order, the High Court
We should have
saying
just done
it
that.
will hear arguments in the case the week of April 22nd.
Nazis are better.
With no firm date for
That's
its
what these
final
people are
ruling.
saying.
The prospect of a federal
fucking
criminal
crazy.
trial being completed before the November election becoming increasingly unrealistic.
Legally speaking, his strategy has long been to delay, delay, delay. Here he gets help in doing that from the highest court in the land, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop it.
I cannot believe this. This dude, he's slipping out of everything. Is he some sort of human eel chimera? You know, like... You know, he started his campaign with 4 different cases against him, and he's going to run out the clock on all of them. There's the stolen documents case. He got a Trump-friendly judge. The Georgia case has been completely sidetracked by 2 of the prosecutors f***ing each other. Now the January 6th case is getting delayed due to a legal theory that nobody thinks is legit except for maybe the judges he hired. The only case that might be finished before the election is the Stormy Daniels case, and based on the way things are going, I bet that judge is going to get stuck in a Venus
I'll be able to
flytrap or
unlock
something.
these 3 things as soon as that
You'd think with so many
stuff starts
cases
showing up
against
in
him, one of
debates.
them would stick. But he's actually using that to his advantage. saying he needs to
don't
delay
have
the
a rifle.
cases so
That'd
he
be
has
nice.
time to prepare for the other ones. It's like when Arnold Schwarzenegger is getting attacked by two guys and he bonks their heads together and they're both out for the rest of the movie.
Breaking news.
This is CNN Breaking
I
News.
think we really get this
We
one
begin
too.
with the breaking news this morning. The United States Supreme Court ruling that former President Donald Trump cannot be removed from any state's ballot for his actions on January 6th.
Let that be a lesson to all you out there who might be thinking about subverting the Constitution in a presidential election. You go, boy.
The baby boomer death grip continues. Does anyone else have a chance to break through?
An NBC News election alert to report, and this is good news for Nikki Haley. NBC News can project that she has won the state of Vermont. It's her first victory of the night.
Yes, Vermont! Yeah! Nikki won the Subaru owner who makes their own honey voting block. You can build on that, Nikki Haley. 2024, baby.
Breaking news this morning, Nikki Haley dropping out of the 2024 presidential race, leaving Donald Trump the last man standing in the race.
No! Don't quit now, Nikki. You are only 80,000 delegates behind. If you drop out, who will little girls without any principles, convictions, or charisma look up to?
There is another candidate in the race who can play a big role. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's polling as high as 22% so far, which means he could lose this election more successfully than any third-party candidate in years. And soon we'll find out who he'll choose to lose alongside him.
Robert Kennedy Jr. says he has chosen his running mate and will announce his VP pick in the next 2 weeks. The independent presidential candidate says his short list includes New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who came under scrutiny during the pandemic for misleading the public about his vaccination status.
That's right. Aaron Rodgers could be RFK Jr.'s running mate. This would be the greatest president and vice president pairing of all time, is what I'm assuming the measles virus is saying. A football player in the White House feels like progress, though. We don't need any more aging old men with brain problems. We need a strong young man with brain problems. I just don't know if Aaron Rodgers is qualified to be next in line for the presidency, but I guess we don't have to worry about that. When has a Kennedy ever died unexpectedly?
That's right. All week we sat with breathless anticipation to see if Trump had $454 million in his wallet. Or would Trump Tower be turned over to New York City to perhaps ease our terrible housing crunch? Or more likely do what they always do, another
Pulse
shitty
Nobilis
Walgreens.
unlocked.
No way.
This ammunition
He
for the
comes up
Nobilis
with $500 million
detonator
by the
generates a
end of the day.
powerful
I'm
shockwave
saying
capable
this.
of repelling nearby objects, including the
Since
user.
2016.
Unrelated. Please ensure all
it's
your Fix-It
finally
liability waivers are up to date.
And it's finally here.
Judgment Day! Moments ago, the former president got a financial lifeline from a New York appeals court.
This isn't gonna be good.
It reduced the bond he must pay in the civil fraud case from more than $450 million to $175 million and gave him more time to pay for it.
Well, that's still something. That's 10 days to come up with $175 million.
Now, Trump has just over a week to come up with a $175 million bond in his real estate fraud case. And if he can't get it from selling shares in his social media company or borrowing from his billionaire friends or teaming up with Giuliani for a sexy car wash, then this latest very classy business venture just might do the trick.
I'm proud to be partnering with my very good friend Lee Greenwood. Who doesn't love his song, God Bless the USA, in connection with promoting the God Bless the USA Bible. This Bible is the King James Version and also includes our founding father documents, yes, the Constitution, also the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance are all part of this. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book.
Many? How does that thing not burst into flames immediately, huh? The green was out today when President Joe Biden made history with the biggest one-day cash grab of all time.
The Biden campaign just announced that its blinged out fundraiser in New York tonight has already raised $25 million. The event will feature former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and a huge list of others.
They will be assembling more than 5,000 supporters at Radio City Music Hall for this first of its kind fundraiser. One batch of supporters who will have a photo taken by famed photographer Annie Leibovitz of themselves and the three presidents.
Wow. Biden, Obama, and Clinton all in one show. It's like Coachella for the kids who asked the teacher for more homework. I mean, this fundraiser is serious. Some people are spending $500,000 to be there. And guys, I'm sorry, this just feels gross. $500,000 for access to a president? I mean, that's not how democracy should work. Save that money for Supreme Court justice. You know?
And while many Republicans would like the whole country to look like Arizona, Donald Trump, the guy who appointed those Supreme Court justices, is now trying to position himself as a moderate on abortion.
Now to the race for the White House after months of questions. Former President Donald Trump today revealing his position on abortion, declining to call for a national ban, saying he would leave it up to the states.
The states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both. And whatever they decide must be the law of the land. In this case, the law of the state.
After years of anticipation, the first criminal trial of a former president has begun. And by all accounts, it is absolutely riveting.
40 minutes ago, you wrote an observation that I was very surprised. Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps dropping down and his mouth goes slack. Tell us about that.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep.
Hey, Jake. What part of head down, eyes closed, drool coming out of his mouth do you not get over here? He's snoring. He's doing the hong shu. He's doing the me, 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 me. There's a piece of paper going up and down in his mouth. He's asleep. Imagine committing so many crimes, you get bored at your own trial. Move on to the good stuff. Now, in case
Radar tower unlocked. The tower reveals resource nodes and other useful information on the map in a set radius from its location.
Falsified business records to cover it up, or as Trump would put it.
This is political persecution. This is a persecution like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And again, it's a case that should have never been brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here.
Well, it's true. Trump is always very proud to be part of any assault on America.
Today, President Biden was campaigning in Pennsylvania, where he received the endorsement of literally 15 Kennedys, who picked Biden over their own relative, RFK Jr. Which is brutal. Can you imagine being at your own wedding, and when the pastor asks if anyone objects, your entire family stands up and goes, "Please don't marry this man. We know him better than anyone, and he sucks."
Today was a big day for Donald Trump versus Johnny Law, with the former president fighting the man at every level of the legal system.
But things actually started off pretty good for Trump. After months of calling him unfit for office, Trump's former Attorney General Bill Barr said he's voting for him anyway. And Trump responded with as much grace as you would expect.
So the former president posting on Truth Social this, quote, "Wow, former Attorney General Bill Barr has just endorsed me for president, despite the fact that I called him weak, slow-moving, lethargic, gutless, and lazy. Based on the fact that I greatly appreciate his wholehearted endorsement, I am removing the word lethargic from my statement. Thank you, Bill."
Donald Trump is the king of pettiness. I am positive in an alt universe, Trump was a sorority president, just dripping dripping with shade. Like, wow, Bill, I love that bikini. You're so brave to be wearing that. You go, girl.
I mean, it does look like Trump hates Trump ass kisses as much as the rest of us do. Because he'll be like, kiss the ring, and then when they do, he's like, I can't believe you kissed the ring, you little bitch. Because this is Donald Trump, he wasn't involved in just one court case today. While he was in New York, his lawyers were in front of the Supreme Court arguing that Trump should have complete legal immunity for anything he did while president. And I do mean complete immunity.
If the president decides that his rival is a corrupt person and he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him, is that within his official acts that for which he can get immunity?
It would depend on the hypothetical, but we can see that could well be an official act.
I object to this guy's voice. Can we, someone get him a lozenge or something? But I mean, sorry, you may continue.
How about if a president orders the military to stage a coup?
I think it would depend.
That's immune.
I think it would depend on the circumstances whether it was an official act. If it were an official act.
If a president sells nuclear secrets to a foreign adversary, is that immune?
Well, I don't know in the hypothetical whether or not that would be an official act.
Okay, look, can we stop giving Trump ideas, okay? Yeah, he's listening to this like, oh, selling nuclear secrets? I should write this down.
Yeah. It sounded like they were loose pitching Netflix action thrillers in the room. Like, in order to save his nation, the president must strangle an opponent in a public death match. Liam Neeson is immune from prosecution. Now, very good. That's very good. Very good. Very good. Now, the Trump legal team doesn't really believe the total immunity argument. They're just bringing it up to delay his trials. It's kind of like when your kid asks for water at bedtime and you know they're just trying to delay bedtime because kids don't need water.
Wait, so I'm pretty sure kids do need water.
No, you're thinking of plants. I don't know what's worse, that RFK Jr. had a worm that was eating his brain, or that his brain is so poisoned it killed the worm. It's so wild that we've all been joking about how RFK Jr. must have brain worms, and then he actually has brain worms. It's like if the weird kid in class came back from the doctor with a note saying, actually, Kyle does have stage 2 turd face. Please let him get his affairs in order. Now, the Kennedy campaign is dismissing the notion that the dead worm in their candidate's brain could cause any cognitive problems. But the story actually came out because the New York Times found a 2012 deposition from Kennedy's divorce in which he argued that his earning power had diminished because, quote, I have cognitive problems clearly. So I guess his argument now is, no, the worm didn't eat the president part of my brain. Just the part that has to give my ex-wife money.
That's really cool, though. I like it. So I can see that on the map all the time now.
And as if the story couldn't get any weirder, it turns out that Kennedy discovered the worm because he was getting tested for brain fog and memory loss. But doctors said it probably wasn't the worm that was causing the brain fog.
Iron over here.
It was more likely that he had severe mercury poisoning
Deuterium
for
really
eating
close
too much
that
fish.
I didn't know about. Must be underground or something.
I mean, no wonder RFK cares so much about climate change. He's legally a thermometer.
You may remember that the end of the Republican primary campaign saw a bitter feud between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. She criticized him for his record and conduct, and he mocked her. Indian birth name, promoted birther conspiracies about her, and implied that her husband deployed to Africa just to get away from her. So, highbrow stuff. The attacks got so personal that when Nikki Haley finally dropped out of the race in March, she made it a point to not endorse Donald Trump.
I have always been a conservative Republican and always supported the Republican nominee. But on this question, as she did on so many others, Margaret Thatcher provided some good advice when she said, quote, never just follow the crowd. Always make up your own mind. It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that.
Wow, go Nikki Haley, right? A Republican standing up to Trump.
That's pretty rare these days. It's like seeing an eclipse or a movie without Timothy Chalamet. But basically, Nikki Haley said, Trump, if you want my endorsement, you gotta earn it. So let's see how Trump courted Nikki Haley's supporters.
You've talked about trying to unify the party. How do you bring these Nikki Haley voters, some of whom voted for you in 2020 but say they don't want to now, how do you bring them back into the tent?
They're going to all vote for me again. They're going to all vote for me again, everybody. And I'm not sure we need too many.
Damn. That's cold. Trump's like, yeah, let me reach out to Haley's supporters. Oh, gotcha.
Of course, the biggest story continues to be the reaction to former President Trump's trial convictions. For the left, the conviction was an exercise in concealed and controlled glee. Many took the opportunity to over-demonstrate how they took no pleasure from this day that they had been dreaming about since childhood.
It was a somber and sad day for America that we have now seen a former president convicted on 34 felony counts. I would hope we could all agree that this is a sad moment.
The justice system had an honorable day. Our country had a sad day.
And Ferris Bueller had the day off.
Border security is one of President Biden's biggest weaknesses. It's why he tried to make a border deal with Republicans earlier this year. It's also why Republicans refused to make a deal with him. They were like, how can we blame you for this if you fix it, you idiot? So now, with his polls tanking 5 months before Election Day, Biden is finally saying, F it, I'll just do it myself.
President Biden taking major steps to stem the flow of migrants crossing the U.S. border illegally with a sweeping new executive action.
Biden's new executive order will allow U.S. immigration officials to deport migrants without processing their asylum claims when the number of illegal border crossings surpasses a specific threshold. Sources tell CBS News that number is likely 2,500 a day, which means it would likely be activated immediately. In May, Border Patrol recorded an average of 3,800 crossings daily.
Our face a simple truth. To protect America as a land that welcomes immigrants,
I gotta come see what's going on up here because
secure it now. And if the United States doesn't secure our border, there's no limit to the number of people that may try to come here. Because there's no better place on the planet than the United States of America.
I get it, dude, but if you don't want people to come, like, maybe stop saying how awesome America
the problem here
is.
is that this is not producing all the
best.
time.
You can't come. Trump has bigger things on his mind, like who to pick as his running mate / human shield. And here are the finalists.
Sources tell CNN tonight that former President Donald Trump's campaign has now given vetting materials to several people who are on the vice presidential shortlist. That includes North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, Senators Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, and Tim Scott. Also Representatives Byron Donalds and Elise Stefanik, and also Trump's former cabinet secretary Ben Carson. All at least 7 are undergoing really what is the political version of a background check.
Wait, Trump is doing background checks on possible VPs? Why? What's he gonna find out about someone else that's worse than what he's done? I mean, yo, this dude's got fraud, sexual assault, infidelity, tax evasion, bankruptcies, impeachment. He hung out with Epstein. I mean, is he really gonna find something and be like, hold on, J.D. Vance got a parking ticket in 1994? I can't be associated with a man like that.
The presidential campaign won't be boring for long because this week Trump and Biden will be rambling face to face. That's right, Thursday is the first presidential debate and these men are going toe to toe. And if you've ever met or seen old men's toes, you know that's going to be a dirty fight. Finally, the American people will have something to judge these candidates on aside from the 4 years that they were both president already. And Joe Biden, for one, he's ready for battle.
The president this morning continues to be hunkered down at Camp David. He is fine-tuning his messaging, honing his attack lines up. He's huddling there with over a dozen advisors. And over the coming days, his threat is expected to evolve from gaming out questions and answers to holding 90-minute mock debates.
Yeah, that's the most dubious thumbs up I've ever seen. That's the football player who's being carted off the field. He's gonna be okay, folks. His thumb is working. And how convenient is it that Trump's debate prep is holding rallies, the thing he wants to do anyway? It's like when finals were coming up and you had that one friend who would say, you know, I retain information better when I'm high. You know, it's like, just to be clear, that was my friend. That wasn't me. Okay? Of course, when you don't prepare for a debate, you run the risk of losing the debate. So it helps to lower expectations.
Trump appears to be lowering expectations and making excuses ahead of the upcoming presidential debate with President Biden.
So I'm not underestimating him. I'm not underestimating him. I assume he's going to be somebody that will be a worthy debater.
Well, maybe I'm better off losing the debate. I'll lose the debate on purpose. Maybe I'll do something like that.
All right. Don't lower expectations that far. You know, maybe I'll lose the debate. Maybe I'll shit my pants and run off stage crying about how much shit is actually in my pants. That's how you'll know I've won.
But then it was time for the actual debate. Let's see how it began. Both men came out and, oh, yes, okay. And then, of course, both men are ambulatory. They are both upright. Level 1 cleared. We know the bar that's been set up for each to pass. Biden has to not look old and not have a senior moment. Go.
Making sure that we're able to make
not
every
billing.
single solitary person
That's what I'm talking about.
eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with
there it goes.
Dealing with everything we have to do with.
Thank you, President Biden.
Need to call a real estate agent in New Zealand. Okay, a high-pressure situation. A lot of times you can confuse saving Medicare with beating it. I'm sure it's not something that repeated throughout the debate, causing Democrats across the country to either jump out of windows or vomit silently into the nearest recycling bin. Anybody can talking. How did Biden do not talking?
How close the police are there. Almost every police group in the nation from every state, and everybody wanted to get it better. And China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, because I didn't have legislation. I said close the border. We had the safest border in history.
Not great. So Biden perhaps not on top of his game. Maybe I will check out this young upstart Donald Trump. Obviously, the election is a binary choice. So let me see what this Trump fella is about. As we learned earlier, he just had to come in there and not be an asshole.
He doesn't care about that. He doesn't like the military at all. Probably the worst administration in history. The worst presidency in the history of our country. This shouldn't be a debate.
Damn it, it keeps fucking shutting off. It should not. There's no reason.
I don't think he knows what he said.
This shouldn't be stopping. Oh, it's because this is fucking here. God damn it. Never hooked this up. Wait, no.
Does not appear to have
I mean, that might be part of it. Anyway, I don't know.
Test.
You have to merge that.
See me after debate. All right, Trumper, what do you got on substance?
We're the greatest economy in the history of our country. A lot of credit for the military and no wars and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants. We had the lowest taxes ever. I didn't have sex with a porn star.
She was a porn character actor at best. I'm not saying she couldn't open a movie, but... So, just so we're all clear, everything that Donald Trump said in that clip is a lie. Blatant and full. And we were tight on time putting this all together. There's plenty more. Really makes you wonder, what's RFK Jr. doing tonight? Maybe he's got something.
The people behind Project 2025 were some of Donald Trump's top aides, but apparently it's getting a little too controversial for Trump now because he's running away from it like it's a disabled veteran who wants a selfie.
Donald Trump chose today to try to distance himself from Project 2025. On Truth Social today, Trump wrote, "I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who's behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them."
Really? You expect us to believe Donald Trump didn't read a 900-page... Okay, now that I'm saying it, I hear it. Yeah. I hear it. I do. Okay, I do. Okay. Well, let's look at this. Okay, this is textbook Trump. He hides his dog whistles next to some plausible deniability. Every tweet is like a Cheesecake Factory menu, you know? There's something for everybody. And he doesn't mind if it's full of contradictions. He hasn't read Project 2025, but he likes parts of it. He has no idea who's behind it, but he hired most of them. He thinks it's abysmal, but he wishes them luck. He's got one hand in his pocket and the other one's giving a high five. Every day brings new lawmakers openly questioning whether Biden should remain as the nominee. And today, one of the party's biggest names waited.
Nancy Pelosi passed up a golden opportunity to say President Biden should stay in the race.
Does he have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket?
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short. He's beloved, he is respected, and people want him to make that decision.
Keep in mind, Biden has said about 50 times that he's staying in the race. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. The Lord Almighty couldn't get me out of this race. The Pelosi's going,
I don't understand how...
Just let us
Okay,
know
there
when
we
you
go.
decide.
Now it's
Clock's
idle.
ticking,
That's not good. Why is it idle?
I mean, that's the same energy my
Should
mom
never
had
be
when I told her
idle.
I was going into comedy.
It doesn't go up
She
at
still
all.
calls me up today like, have you made a decision about medical school
And there's
yet?
how much point in here? 10.
By the way,
20.
it probably doesn't help that as she was speaking,
30.
I kept thinking, man, I wish that
40.
Biden could channel the youth and vigor of Nancy Pelosi.
50. 60. And there's 60 going in. I don't understand why it's fucking so slow.
Pelosi wasn't the biggest name to come out against Biden today because while she was gently nudging him out of the race, an even more powerful Democrat was
The only thing that can
running
be
him
stopping it is
over
that
with
these
a
are not
steamroller.
getting to go at full speed, and it's pretty clear they're not. So what the fuck is going on?
George Clooney, of course, the actor, has just called for President Biden to step aside. The actor writes, "It's devastating to say it, but the Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe Big Effing Deal Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate."
In short, Clooney says this is about age, nothing more. He adds, we are not going to win in November with this president.
Yeah, you know you're in trouble when even Danny Ocean is saying we can't pull this one off.
Last night was night one of the RNC, and obviously, after what happened this weekend, there was a clear theme going in.
Obviously, right now, unity is a theme that we need to be focused on.
I think that we're going to hear a lot of unifying type speeches.
We got to create some unity. The vitriol and the hatred, it needs to stop.
We should bring the temperature down. Let's turn this moment into a moment that helps us down that path of healing and unity.
Wow, that is Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. He is known as a particularly divisive, or however you want to pronounce that, a divisive figure. So to hear that healing rhetoric coming from Ron Johnson is impressive. I, for one, look forward to hearing his unifying remarks on the convention floor.
Today's Democrat agenda, their policies, are a clear and present danger to America.
is what's known as unity in the streets, divisive in the sheets. But to be fair, and I want to be fair, in this new environment, Senator Johnson did not mean to stoke anger. His teleprompter did.
What he wanted loaded in the prompter was that we needed a somber moment in history. We should heed President Trump's call to unite, to be strong, to be determined. We must heal. He said, I don't know how the other one got in there and screwed up the teleprompter. But again, he went ahead and read it.
What a douchebag! Sorry. I didn't mean to say that. That was in my teleprompter. I apologize.
Keep your news alerts on because the Democrats might be recasting a very big role.
Breaking news about President Biden's candidacy.
The New York Times sources close to President Biden say he's beginning to accept he might have to leave the race.
Axios says he could drop out as soon as this weekend.
It's reached almost a fever pitch. Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi have all had very direct conversations with President Biden.
His political fate more precarious than ever.
An increasingly dire moment.
His fate now hanging in the balance, nearing the point of no return.
We are close to the end
of his candidacy. To be clear, when you're talking about an 81-year-old, you gotta be clear about that. Think about how strange
something's miscalculated
this moment
here because this one keeps stopping.
In the span of 1 week, one candidate got shot and the other guy might drop out. I mean, years from now, children will be reading about this in history books.
So there's 20 right here.
They won't have those, but
40,
everywhere else.
60.
But last night's big speech was from Donald Trump's new
So why is it not working?
J.D. Vance, who wanted to introduce himself to the world. And this is what he went with.
And while we're on the topic of grandparents, let me tell you another Mamaw story. Now, my Mamaw died shortly before I left for Iraq in 2005. And when we went through her things, we found 19 loaded handguns. They were stashed all over her house, under her bed, in her closet, in the silverware drawer. This frail old woman made sure that no matter where she was within arm's length of whatever she needed to protect her family. That's who we fight for. That's American spirit.
Yeah, that's the American spirit. Unhinged
Do not
paranoia.
understand why this is stopping so much right here.
You know what? I love how gun nuts in this country are always like, we're responsible gun owners. Anyway, here's a Glock I taped under my baby's crib. And let me just remind everyone that 5 days ago, their nominee was almost taken out by an assault rifle. And I thought that might lead to a moment of introspection. But you guys know what's hilarious? How guns are everywhere. But outside of his anecdotes about Grandma John Wick, the fact
the math
was
is right. So like there's absolutely no reason it should be going
did
slower.
not exactly set the room on fire. But the good news for him was that the crowd was so amped, they were happy to chant no matter what.
So I guess I'll have to upgrade this to 4.
H-I-O. O-H-I-O. You guys are a great crowd. Wow. And
I've never seen a crowd so pumped that it started to engage in conversation. Yes, we are! Let's order food! How about Thai? But then Trump went on to tell the story of his near assassination on Saturday. And for a moment, they started to feel like maybe this was a different Trump. Someone some reflective. But then he slipped in just a small nod to the Trump we've always known.
They knew immediately it was a senator, and then began pointing at him. You can see that if you look at the group behind me. That was just a small group compared to what was in front.
That's how you know Trump is going to get through this. Even in the middle of a story about almost being assassinated, he felt the need to reflectively brag about his crowd size. suddenly realize how insignificant we are, except by crowd size. Very significant. We're all just grains of sands on a beach. Although my crowd is more like a coastline. Big crowd, big crowd. But there was one other thing that made me realize this is the same Trump.
In Wisconsin, we are spending over $250 million here creating jobs and other economic development all over the place. So I hope you will remember this in November and give us your vote. I am trying to buy your vote. I'll be honest about that.
He's trying to do a quid pro quo in the middle of his convention speech. Slow down, my man. You don't get total immunity until after the election. So that was Trump's speech. A changed man who was basically the same man.
Why is it still stopping?
In the span of a week, Democrats have
Whatever.
gone from
I'm
the
gonna take a break.
despair
It's pissing me off.
of a certain Trump presidency to the joy of a statistical tie.